The Galactic Council's so-called ultimate test had crushed 2,000 species. But when the humans strode in, they turned a death trap into a vacation spot. The crystalline chamber, orbiting a neutral star, gleamed with opalescent light, filtering through the vast transparent dome that separated the gathered alien diplomats from the cold vacuum of space. This was the Galactic Council Hall, where dozens of alien delegations convened in a cacophony of translated chatter, clicks, gurgles, and hisses echoing against towering crystal pillars. Floating holo displays showed centuries-old council decrees, their ancient text scrolling in hundreds of languages. Chancellor Spilon Blomfar stood at the central podium, his 7-foot-tall gelatinous violet body rippling with anticipation. His 6 tentacles, each tipped with a crystalline knuckle, gestured dramatically as he addressed the assembly. When he spoke, his voice cracked like gravel. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," Blomfar announced, his tentacles splaying wide. "Today, we welcome yet another primitive species to attempt our ultimate test, a challenge that has humbled the greatest civilizations for over 2 millennia." Murmurs rippled through the delegates. Crystalline-winged Zephyrians, sapphire-scaled Goraki warriors, and gaseous-limbed ethereal consortia, each convinced the next test-taker would fail with spectacular flair. After all, none had succeeded in the 2,000 years since the test's inception. "Behold," Blomfar continued, his violet hue brightening with smug certainty, "the humans, latest hopefuls destined to perish in the ultimate test." He waved a tendril at a spinning hologram that labeled Earth as a Class 12 death world, the second highest danger rating in the galactic classification system. 3 humans stood at the chamber's entrance, unfazed by the scrutiny of hundreds of alien eyes. Captain Jana "Tank" Morrison stood at the front, 6'4", broad-shouldered, a veteran of Earth's most extreme environments from Antarctic cold to Saharan heat. Her wry smile suggested she found the whole ceremony mildly amusing. Beside her, Dr. Lila Reeves studied the alien delegates with analytical precision. The petite scientist wore a lab jacket adorned with mission patches, Amazon monsoon researcher, volcanic vent specialist, deep space radiation expert. Her quiet confidence contrasted sharply with Blomfar's bombast. Engineer Marcus Mack O'Sullivan completed the trio, short, stocky, with perpetually grease-stained fingers and a modular toolkit strapped across his chest. Rumor had it, he'd once rebuilt a crashed freighter's core with nothing but duct tape and ductile metal floss. Dr. Lila stepped forward, arching an eyebrow at the spinning hologram. "Class 12? That's amusing. Australia is Class 15 last I checked. You sure your data's current?" The council chamber went silent. Blomfar's tentacles stiffened, and his violet hue darkened slightly. "Our classification system is meticulously maintained by the finest xenobiologists in the galaxy. Might want to hire some new ones. Then," Jana remarked, glancing at the data readings, "our training grounds on Earth make this ultimate test sound like a weekend retreat." Blomfar's color pulsed with indignation. With a dramatic gesture, he activated the test gate, revealing a swirling emerald and purple vortex leading to the test chamber. "We shall see about that, humans. 2,000 species have failed. You will be no different." Jana cracked her knuckles and shouldered past the stunned council guards. "Well, team, let's show them how Deathworlders laugh at impossible tests." As the test portal hissed open, all factions realized this wouldn't be a ceremonial defeat. For the first time in centuries, doubt flickered in alien eyes. The humans stepped through the shimmering portal into Test Zone 46, and immediately, alarms screeched. Acidic rain cascaded from artificial storm clouds. Gravity spiked to 3 times Earth normal, and the atmosphere registered as 40% toxic gases. Bioluminescent flora pulsed along the ground, emitting visible toxin clouds. Through observation ports, alien delegations watched in horror. Zephyrians donned entire exosuits, their sparkling wings folded in terror. Garaki warriors roared battle cries while suiting up in heavy plate armors. Ethereals condensed slightly, projecting layered force field bubbles around themselves. Jana stripped off her outer flight insignia and strolled into the acid rain. Ah, fresh. Reminds me of that monsoon drill in Bengal. The caustic droplets sizzled against her skin but caused no apparent distress. Lila scanned the rain's chemical composition on a hollow tablet. Surprisingly, pH 1.0 is still milder than lunar volcanic emissions, but this nitrogenation is new. Interesting compound structure. Mac patted his tool belt. Got enough ductile polymer wraps to patch anything. Let's scout for suitable shelter materials, yeah? He was already eyeing the crystalline formations jutting from the ground, mentally calculating load-bearing capacities. From the observation deck, Blomfar's tentacles twitched nervously. They should be writhing in agony by now. The acid rain dissolves exoskeletons in minutes. Zephyrian Ambassador Yeshkar fluttered her crystalline wings anxiously. Perhaps they have some protective technology we cannot detect? Impossible, Blomfar insisted, though his violet hue paled slightly. The scanner confirmed they entered with only standard equipment. No environmental shielding. In the Torrent of Torment section of the test chamber, biomechanical apex hunters, tiger-spider hybrids called cryophantids, descended into the open arena. Each was 12 feet long, armor-plated, hunting with subsonic echolocation. Their crystalline fangs dripped with paralytic venom. The alien delegations responded with practiced fear. Zephyrian squealed, attempting to camouflage behind quartz walls. Garaki huddled into defensive phalanxes, brandishing plasma spears. Ethereals vanished into microclimate bubbles, refusing to engage. Jana, however, merely assessed the beasts with professional interest. When the first cryophantid lunged, she surprised everyone, including the beast, by leaping onto its armored flank. She engaged in hand-to-circuit brawling, identifying the predator's subsonic sensors and physically closing its thoracic vents. The beast stumbled in confusion, its echolocation suddenly blind. Their orientation depends on these auditory chambers, she called to her teammates. Close the vents, and they lose coordination. Meanwhile, Lila had hacked a discarded sensor drone from a previous failed attempt. Her fingers danced across the interface, reprogramming it to intercept the beast's echolocation signals. I'm broadcasting confusing ultrasounds. Now. She activated the drone, and immediately, the remaining cryophantids began moving erratically, bumping into each other and the walls. Mac had been busy collecting fallen retina panel fragments from the test floor. Got enough heat-sensitive material here to build a thermal decoy. Within minutes, he'd constructed a crude but effective device that emitted the same thermal signature as a small living creature. The confused predators began circling the decoy, ignoring the humans entirely. The council observers watched in stunned silence as Jana approached the disoriented lead cryophantid. Instead of attacking, she found a nerve cluster at the base of its thorax and applied gentle pressure. The beast froze. Then, to the utter disbelief of the observers, began making a sound reminiscent of purring. Would you look at that? Jana laughed, scratching behind what appeared to be a sensory node. They're not aggressive at all once you disable their hunting protocols. Just big, confused cats with too many legs. Within 30 minutes, the supposedly deadly cryophantids were following the humans like oversized pets, nuzzling Jana's armor for attention. The council observers whimpered, unsure whether to record this as a flaw in the test or a miracle. This is unprecedented, Blomfar sputtered, his color shifting to a sickly green. The cryophantids are apex predators. They've devoured entire squads of Garaki warriors. Perhaps, a Zephyrian diplomat suggested timidly, the humans emit some pheromone that calms the beasts? Or perhaps, Garaki War Colonel Kazor growled, the beasts recognize true warriors worthy of respect. As the test continued, Mac identified strands of venom spike vine, whose fibers, when twisted, resisted acid corrosion. He began weaving them into bracing supports and anchors using crystallized silica nodules found scattered across the test floor. These organic metallic hybrid materials have fascinating properties, Mac explained as he worked. The acid actually strengthens their molecular bonds. Counterintuitive but perfect for our shelter. Inside the nascent shelter, he rigged a makeshift radiator using discarded cryo-casing panels to regulate the heat buildup caused by the triple gravity. The structure took shape with remarkable speed, an elegant dome of interwoven fibers and crystalline supports, completely resistant to the acid rain and offering relief from the toxic atmosphere. A Garaki commander stormed into the observation chamber, his scales flushed with rage. A single behemoth can't figure out a shelter. How are three bipeds outdoing us? Zephyrian's lead diplomat moved closer to the viewing portal, wings shimmering with anxiety. Perhaps we could offer assistance? They seem quite capable, and alliance with such resilient beings could benefit. Absolutely not, Blumfar interrupted. The test must proceed without interference. Rules established 2,000 years ago cannot be broken for these primitives. In the Mirror Labyrinth section, the humans faced their next challenge. A holographic maze programmed to exploit species' fears, illusions of loved ones dying, recollections of past failures, and dissonant languages whispering threats. The alien delegations had reacted predictably to this challenge in their own attempts. Zephyrians disintegrated into sobbing molds when illusions replicated ancient tragedies. Ethereals fragmented into panicked subclouds, unable to reconcile fear with their enlightened self-image. Dr. Lila quickly identified patterns in the illusions. Each projection pulses at a specific xeno-linguistic frequency, she observed, calibrating her tablet. It's targeting neural pathways associated with fear and anxiety. She programmed a synchronized counter-frequency broadcast, neutralizing the maze's effective triggers. Jana encountered a holographic projection of her childhood instructor dying in an avalanche scenario. Instead of recoiling in horror, she calmly approached the illusion and grabbed its hand, disrupting the projection's neural override. The hologram flickered and dissolved. Simple exploit, she explained. These projections are designed to keep you at a distance, make physical contact with the focal point, and the system can't maintain coherence. Mac had rigged a handheld fractal mirror using salvaged materials. The device reflected the maze's projector beams back into its emitters, causing a localized blackout of the illusion field. Fighting light with light, he grinned. Basic optics, really. The test timer, projected onto a hovering hologram, read 2 hours and 15 minutes, an unheard-of speed through the course. The council chambers buzzed with agitated whispers. Blomfar convened a covert meeting via subspace communication. "This is unprecedented," he hissed to senior council members. "Cancel the test. These humans threaten council prestige." "Protocol forbids mid-test cancellation," an ancient, ethereal reminded him, its gaseous form fluctuating with concern. The test must proceed to completion, regardless of outcome. Inside the test chamber, the humans were taking a brief rest before the final challenge. Jana yawned widely. "Almost lunchtime. Anyone know if local cuisine is any good?" Lila was busy jotting notes on cryo-orchid spore viability in her tablet. Fascinating adaptations to the acidic environment. These could revolutionize our understanding of extremophile botany. Mac had tweaked a salvaged power conduit to run classical Earth Symphony through a rock fiber resonator he'd constructed. The lilting strains of Mozart filled their makeshift shelter as the cryophantids curled around them like oversized house cats. The final challenge awaited. The ultimate Crystallis puzzle. A towering, multifaceted crystalline spheroid floated in a zero-G section, its engravings shifting colors and symbols unpredictably. Legend held that the only way to solve it was to achieve complete synchronicity with its fractal resonance patterns, something no species had managed in 2,000 years. The alien delegations watched with a mixture of dread and anticipation. Zephyrians wept at the thought of inevitable failure. Garaki drew their energy blades, preparing a brute force dismantle strategy they'd never successfully executed. Ethereals attempted psychic projection, linking minds to comprehend the puzzle, only to suffer mental feedback that dissipated portions of their collective consciousness. The humans studied the puzzle thoughtfully. Lila analyzed its fractal geometry, her tablet displaying complex mathematical models. "Fascinating," she murmured. "The patterns aren't random at all. They're responding to linguistic inputs. It's a communication system, not just a puzzle." Mac assembled a crude, neurotactile wand, using leftover honeycomb alloy and toxin-resistant vines, enabling a minimal live interface with the crystal's resonant nodes. "Getting some feedback," he reported. "It's listening, waiting for something specific." Lila's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "It's not a test of intelligence or strength. It's a test of etiquette." The tormentors embedded a linguistic revenge code that responds to polite communication patterns. Jana stepped forward with an earthwise smile. Instead of attempting to hack, dismantle, or forcibly solve the crystal, she simply said, "Excuse me, mighty puzzle. Could you kindly open? We do have places to be." The crystal's runes slowed their shifting. A soft chime emanated as the structure's panels gradually parted, revealing an inner sanctum and triggering a euphoric victory fanfare that had never been heard in the test's 2-millennium history. In the council chambers, pandemonium erupted. Blomfar's tentacles flailed wildly, his purple hue flashing neon green, and then an impossible ultraviolet. "This is impossible. He stammered before a tentacle knocked the microphone over. Other delegates stood slack-jawed, their centuries of assumptions evaporated in the face of human audacity. The aftermath was chaotic. Delicate procedures to award the humans were stammered through. Blomfar, sedated twice by council medbots, hiccuped out a garbled welcome. Aliens attempted solidarity gestures, presenting flower-shaped crystals and performing formal dances. But the mood remained awkward, like mourners at a funeral for their own pride. Jana accepted a ceremonial star banner scroll with casual grace. "Thanks. But we got a jet. Reactor issue at Kepler Station needs attention." Lila scanned the alien delegates with clinical interest, whispering to Mac, "Note their stress markers for future analysis. Fascinating xenopsychological data here." Mac fiddled with his newly crafted sonic sculptor, playing Earth's most upbeat jazz riff, much to the bewilderment of the assembled dignitaries. Most shocking of all, several cryophanted apex hunters trundled into the chamber, nuzzling Jana's armor affectionately. They had become docile, silently trailing the humans like oversized, deadly puppies. A Zephyrian official dropped her holotablet, eyes wide with disbelief. "They've domesticated them." In the council chambers, Blomfar, now pale and mumbling, signaled an emergency convocation. "Protocol, redraft, update, entire council structure." Rumors swirled among the delegates. Should we reclassify Earth? Are humans now the de facto council chairs? A sleek Earth Star Cruiser docked at the station. Jana, Lila, and Mac waved farewell to the wide-eyed delegates, leaving behind a transformed understanding of what primitive Deathworlders were truly capable of. "Next stop, Kepler Station," Jana announced over the ship's intercom. "Reactor meltdown waits for no one." She grinned at her companions. "Besides, that was barely a warm-up. Wait till they see what we do with real challenges." The Apex Hunters remained on the test platform, glaring at the departing ship with wistful expressions, as if they, too, wanted an interstellar ride. As the humans departed, a hushed council voice asked, How many humans will come next? Blumfar croaked. At least several thousand. The chamber went silent, contemplating a future where humans, creatures who treated deadly challenges like vacation spots, would walk among them as equals. In the distance, a warp ripple signaled the departure of the human vessel, but in the vast emptiness of space, dozens more ripples appeared on long-range sensors. Earth's fleets and diplomats were en route to council meetings, heralding a new era of human influence in a galaxy unprepared for creatures who laughed in the face of certain death. For 2,000 years, the Galactic Council had administered the ultimate test, secure in their superiority. It had taken less than 3 hours for 3 humans to turn their most sacred tradition into a punchline. Captain Jana Tank Morrison sat in the captain's chair of the Earth starcruiser Indomitable, watching the Galactic Council station recede on the view screen. The events of the past few hours played through her mind. The acid rain that had been milder than Earth's volcanic springs, the predators that responded to simple kindness, and the impossible puzzle that opened with a polite request. "Penny, for your thoughts, Captain?" Dr. Lila Reeves asked, settling into the science station chair beside her. Jana smiled. "Just thinking about how prepared we were for a life-or-death struggle. And instead, we got what amounts to a mildly challenging field exercise." Mac chuckled from the engineering console. "Did you see Blumfar's face when the crystal opened? I thought the poor blob was going to melt right there on the spot." "It's more than just a humorous anecdote," Lila said, her expression thoughtful. "What we witnessed was the collapse of a 2,000-year-old power structure built on false premises. The Council used the test to maintain hierarchical dominance, keeping lesser species in subordinate positions by convincing them they weren't capable of surviving extreme conditions." Jana nodded. "And we just blew that narrative to smithereens without even trying." "Which raises the question," Mac added. "How many other species could have passed if they'd been given proper information? How many civilizations were unfairly kept from Council membership?" The bridge fell silent as they contemplated the implications. The Galactic Council had maintained power through artificial barriers and misinformation, tactics that collapsed when confronted with humans who didn't know they were supposed to fail. "Captain," the communications officer called from her station. "We're receiving a transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Chen would like a full report on the Council encounter." "Put it through," Jana replied, straightening in her chair. The view screen shifted to show the stern face of Admiral Chen, head of Earth's Interstellar Relations Division. "Captain Morrison," the Admiral greeted her. "I understand congratulations are in order. You've become the first species in 2 millennia to pass the Council's ultimate test." "Thank you, Admiral. Though I'm not sure pass is the right word. More like we exposed its fundamental flaws." The Admiral's expression remained serious. "Your success has significant diplomatic implications. Earth has received 17 requests for alliance from previously neutral systems in the past hour alone. The balance of power is shifting." "What are our orders, sir?" Jana asked. "Proceed to Kepler Station as planned. Their reactor situation is genuine and requires your expertise. But be aware that you and your team are now unofficial ambassadors for humanity. The way you handled the test has made an impression." "Understood, Admiral. We'll represent Earth to the best of our abilities." After the transmission ended, Jana turned to her companions. "Well, team, it seems our little adventure has turned us into diplomats." "Not exactly what I signed up for," Mac grumbled, though his eyes twinkled with amusement. "I'm an engineer, not a politician." "Consider it an extension of our problem-solving skills," Lila suggested. "The Council represents a different kind of puzzle, one that responds to straightforward approaches, just like the crystal did." Jana rose from her chair and moved to the observation window, gazing at the stars streaking by as they entered warp speed. "You know what amazes me most about all this? We didn't do anything special. We just approached each challenge the way we would on Earth. That's precisely the point," Lila said. What's routine for Deathworlders is extraordinary for everyone else. We've been forged by one of the most demanding planets in the galaxy. Earth doesn't allow for pretension or overcomplexity. Survival demands practical solutions. Mac joined them at the window. So our superpower is being straightforward? In a galaxy drowning in protocol and ritual? Absolutely, Jana laughed. Simple courtesy, practical thinking, and treating problems as challenges rather than impossibilities. Turns out, that's revolutionary. The ship hummed around them as they accelerated toward Kepler Station, where another impossible problem awaited their uniquely human approach. Behind them, the Galactic Council scrambled to adapt to a universe where humans had redefined what was possible, armed with nothing more than problem-solving skills, adaptability, and the unshakable confidence of creatures who evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day, and somehow still learned to laugh about it. The Kepler Station crisis proved even less challenging than the ultimate test. What the station engineers had described as a catastrophic reactor cascade was resolved by Mac in approximately 47 minutes, most of which involved explaining to the station's chief engineer that sometimes the simplest solution was the correct one. "You're overthinking it," Mac had said, pointing to the reactor's cooling system. "Your thermal regulators are trying to compensate for a minor fluctuation by making increasingly dramatic adjustments. Just reset the system and let it find its own equilibrium." The chief engineer, a Zephyrian with iridescent wings that fluttered anxiously, had protested, "But the manual specifies 17 separate procedures for—" "Forget the manual," Mac interrupted. "That reactor is a modified Earth design. Trust me, it's more robust than you think." Once the reactor situation was resolved, the humans found themselves unexpectedly celebrated as heroes, again. A reception was hastily arranged in the station's central atrium, with representatives from 12 different species eager to meet the Deathworlders who conquered the ultimate test. Jana stood uncomfortably in her dress uniform, nursing a glass of something the station commander had assured her was compatible with human physiology. It tasted vaguely like licorice mixed with diesel fuel. "I've never seen such excitement over basic problem-solving," she muttered to Lila, who was similarly besieged by curious aliens. Lila smiled diplomatically at a group of gaseous ethereals who were attempting to communicate through color shifts. "I think we've become symbols of something larger than ourselves. We represent a challenge to the established order." A tall, elegant being with translucent skin approached Jana, bowing deeply. "Captain Morrison, I am Ambassador Threll of the Luminary Confederation. We have observed your accomplishments with great interest." Jana returned the bow, remembering her diplomatic briefing. "Ambassador, I hope our unexpected arrival hasn't disrupted station operations. Quite the contrary. Your presence has been illuminating." The ambassador's skin rippled with patterns that suggested deep emotion. "For centuries, my people have been denied council membership because we failed the ultimate test. We were told our physiology was simply too fragile for interstellar politics. And now you're wondering if that was ever true," Jana surmised. "Precisely." Ambassador Threll leaned closer. "Tell me, Captain, what is Earth's secret? How do your people manage such resilience?" Jana considered the question seriously. "There's no secret, Ambassador. Earth is a challenging world that forced us to adapt or die. Every day presented new problems, extreme weather, predators, natural disasters, and we learned to face them with whatever tools were available. But surely you have some advanced training or genetic modifications." Jana laughed. "Standard human adaptability is our only modification. We evolved on a planet that never gave us a break, so we learned to thrive under pressure. Most importantly, we learned not to overcomplicate things." The ambassador's skin displayed patterns of thoughtful contemplation. "Perhaps that is what the Council fears most, species who see through the unnecessary complexity they use to maintain control. From across the room, Mac caught Jana's eye and tapped his wrist, indicating it was time for their departure. The Indomitable had received new orders, a diplomatic mission to the Tiety system, where a mining colony was experiencing impossible asteroid cluster disruptions. As they made their excuses and prepared to leave, a small commotion erupted at the station's docking bay. A shipping container, apparently self-propelled, was making its way determinedly toward the Indomitable. "What in the world?" Jana muttered, moving closer to investigate. The container stopped before her, and with a mechanical hiss, its side panel slid open, revealing 3 cryophantids. Their many-legged forms crouched in what could only be described as hopeful postures. "How did they—" Jana began, before noticing the shipping manifest attached to the container. It bore the official seal of the Galactic Council and a hastily scrawled note. "Please remove your pets from Council premises. They have caused significant disruption by attempting to locate you." Mac burst into laughter. "Looks like we've got stowaways." Lila was already scanning the creatures with her tablet. "Fascinating. They've imprinted on human biochemical signatures. I don't think they want to be separated from us." Jana looked from the eager cryophantids to her crew, and back again. Protocol dictated that non-Earth life forms required extensive quarantine and approval processes before being brought aboard an Earth vessel. But then again, Protocol had never accounted for apex predators that behaved like oversized puppies toward humans. "Well," Jana said with a grin, "I suppose every ship needs a mascot. Or 3. The decision made, they welcomed their unlikely companions aboard. As the Indomitable departed Kepler Station, rumors spread throughout nearby systems. Not only had humans conquered the ultimate test, but they'd turned the Council's deadliest enforcers into faithful companions. In the Galactic Council chambers, Chancellor Blomfar, still recovering from his nervous collapse, received the news with a whimper. His tentacles drooped as he contemplated a galaxy where humans not only existed, but thrived, bringing their chaotic, straightforward Deathworlder perspective to every corner of carefully maintained order. "What happens now?" asked a junior counselor, voicing the question on everyone's mind. Blomfar stared at the revised galactic map, where Earth, previously a minor notation on the edge of explored space, now glowed with newfound prominence. "Now," he said quietly, "everything changes." And across the stars, humans continued doing what they'd always done, treating the impossible as merely another problem to solve, approaching cosmic dangers with practical solutions, and occasionally, much to the galaxy's ongoing bewilderment, laughing in the face of certain death. After all, that's what Deathworlders do.